Well, hello, and greetings, friends. Welcome to the Black Entrepreneurs Institute show. I am Damian Johnson, and I am your only host for tonight. And I'm excited to be with you. And for those of you tuning in, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate the support as we look to add value to you. And we are here to help entrepreneurs, Black and minority entrepreneurs elevate their mindset and their money. And so, friends, last week we had a phenomenal show with Joshua Rich, and if you didn't see that show, it was absolutely incredible. We were talking about D&I in the marketplace, and Josh dropped some nuggets of gold. And I just love that we get to do what we do and speak into your lives today. Um, and to bring to you content that will serve you in your entrepreneurial journey and in your business. Now, by the way, if you guys missed the noon show today where with Roddy, he was talking about applying peak performance principles to your communication skills. And it was amazing. I don't know how Roddy just continues to up level time and time again. But listen, the empowered living community, you should share it with your network, share it with your friends. When the shows come on, start a watch party, because what Paul and Roddy and the entire Empowered Living community are doing, they're building a platform that is purpose to enrich people's lives. Even when you look at the kids show with Michonne Henniger and Dash Upwards, my kids love that show. And so all of the content, I even saw that there was a new music segment that was coming up. And so listen, stay plugged in, stay close to the fire with the Empowered Living Network, because we are bringing value. Paul and Roddy are working hard behind the scenes, and the entire Empowered Living community, they're working really, really hard to bring value added content. So when the shows come on, start a watch party, let your friends know, share it, because the content that you're bringing is incredible. So, you may be wondering why I'm the only one here tonight. Well, one of the things that we do on the second Tuesday of every month, we do a special segment where you get a chance to hear from the BEI founders. You might recall that last month you got to hear from Dr. Nicole Rankin, and if you know nothing about Dr. Nick, you know that Dr. Nick loves the kids, and so she talked about millennials, and I am just honored that I get to share space with my co-founders. They are incredible, and Dr. Nick hit a home run. So as as we have decided that today would be my turn, and my expertise is in the area of sales. And let me tell you, if you know anything about Damien, you know that Damien loves sales. I love it. And, it's hard for me to wrap my mind around why people are so intimidated by sales, but I have been in sales for a very, very long time. And so, matter of fact, for about 15 years, actually, no, about 18 years, I've been in sales. I spent about 15 years in the mortgage industry in a call center environment, and I have originated more than $1 billion worth of loans, mortgage loans, in my career, and enjoyed doing it, helped a lot of people along the way, and learned how to sell successfully, and sell via the phone. And so I have a passion for sales, because I know that sales can be a game changer, in any professional's life, because it is an absolutely learnable skill. And so tonight, what I want to do is I want to share with you some necessary aspects of sales that I believe will serve you. If you have hangups around sales, or if you consider yourself to not to be good at sales, then you may want to just pull up a chair, grab a pen and paper, because I really believe that this teaching is going to serve you. I'm talking about the necessary elements to sales. Now, I don't have at my command the time to cover everything that you need to know, and I would really, really, really love to go deep with you. But I'm gonna hit some important points. I'm gonna try to unpack them for you in a very practical and meaningful way. And my hope is that when you walk away from this, you feel much more empowered to be able to go out and make the connections and to close the deals, to build your business and to take it to the next level. So let's go ahead and get into it, okay? So let me just go here and let's get my slide deck up. Awesome. Okay, so again, my name's Damian Johnson. I'm very experienced sales professional. As many of you know, I'm a certified coach, speaker, and trainer. Certified through the John Maxwell team, of course. And I'm a husband, a father, and tonight I get the privilege of being your friend. I am married to a beautiful woman. I married above my pay grade, and so my beautiful wife is Kendra, and we have two daughters, Anna Lay, which is the baby you see right in front of me, and then my she's 4 years old, and then Avia, she is 2 years old, and then just 3 months ago, I had the privilege of delivering my son Isaiah, and he is now 3 months old, and we delivered him at home. We didn't even get to make it to the hospital, but that's a story for another time. But here's really what I want to share with you, right? It's important for you to understand that really that everything is selling. As we think about sales, everything is selling. Now, whether you're a dentist, a doctor, a preacher, a teacher, a coach, a child, it doesn't really make any difference what you do. Everybody is a salesperson. And when I tell most people this, most people react by saying, I'm not a salesperson. And it's almost as if they look down at salespeople like there's some lower form of human business scum. And here's the thing. Absolutely nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing could be further from the truth, because the truth of the matter really is that sales is one of the noblest professions in the entire world. It's also one of the most lucrative professions in the entire world. But when done with integrity, sales helps people to get what they want. That's what sales does. Sales solves a problem and helps people to get to a future positive. Now, we all know the famous quote by Dr. John Maxwell that says that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. But here's what I'm going to tell you. Sales is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And if you're an entrepreneur who's looking to start a business, if you can't sell, if you can't influence, if you can't persuade, good luck trying to get your business off the ground. It is a critical skill. And I've said it before, and I will continue to beat the drum on this, that if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a business owner, you are in the business of sales. And so if you're looking to build a business, you cannot afford to shy away when it comes to having sales conversations, right? And so I'm going to keep beating the drum on this until the cows come home. If you're an entrepreneur, you are in the business of sales. And so I'm not just referring to your customers, mind you, not just talking about your customers. I'm talking about your bankers. I'm talking about your vendors, the people who work for you and work with you. How do you get the people who work for you to get excited? How do you get them to want to buy into your vision? The key is that you have to be influential, which ultimately means that you do in fact need to know sales. Now, I want to go a little bit deeper here with this concept of sales. See, at the highest level, what sales really is, it is the transference of emotion. And the emotion that you're transferring is certainty. Sales at the highest level is the transference of emotional certainty. That someone feels certain that what you present is a good thing, that it's going to help them, that it's going to fill their need and it's going to solve their problem. See, when you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to start a business, or you're recruiting people, or when you're selling people on your vision for the future or your vision for your company, if you can't do that, it's going to be hard for you to attract great people to work with you. Think about all of the people. Just take a step back and think about all of the people right now that you consider to be a visionary. Think about all the visionaries out there. If you look under the surface, what you will see is that they possess the ability to sell their vision to other people. They have the ability to inspire people, to motivate them. So selling is not just about pitching a product or a service. That can be one part of it, one manifestation of it. But selling is about communicating your ideas in a convincing way that you come across as believable, that you transfer so much so that you transfer certainty to the person that you're communicating with. Okay. And so that's why I need you to understand that sales is about influence. You need to learn how to influence. Even when you think about just trying to get your kids to make their bed or to do their homework or to pick up their toys, which I deal with on a regular I deal with that on a regular basis, right? Or when you're trying to negotiate the terms of a deal. Sales cuts to everything. So you need to be able to sell. And you need to get comfortable with the idea of sales. So when you begin to see that sales and influence are really a life skill, then what you're going to find is that you'll be much, much more successful in everything that you do. So what I want to do tonight is that I want to talk to you about some necessary aspects of sales, right? And I've already said that sales is about transferring emotional certainty. So because sales is about transferring emotional certainty, the first thing I want to talk to you about tonight is the necessary emotional state. The necessary emotional state for sales. And here's what it really comes down to, my friends, that you must believe that you are the person that can solve the customer's problem and give them the outcome that they desire. Not just know intellectually, but you got to believe it right here in your heart. Now, here's the thing. Here's what you got to understand. Because sales is the process of transferring emotional certainty, and the word transfer is defined as moving from one place to another, then in order for you to transfer certainty, you must first have certainty. You cannot give what you do not have. And so as you think about this idea of transferring certainty, what you have to understand is that we should never be selling something that we wouldn't buy ourselves. Don't try to sell someone on something that you don't believe in, because you won't be convincing. You'll be out of integrity. So if you truly don't think that it's something that you yourself would be a customer of, then you really shouldn't be pitching it. That goes without saying. Make sure that whatever you're offering is compelling enough that you yourself would be deeply interested in buying it. In other words, you must believe in what you are selling. Because when you truly believe, then you have and you can transfer certainty. Now, here's the next level that we have to go to. In order to build certainty, in order for a person to buy from you, they have to have certainty in you as the salesperson. And there's three things that you really have to project to the client in order to really anchor in this idea of certainty. So to transfer certainty to the client in you, you must have three things. Number one, you've got to be sharp as a tack. You got to be on top of your game. You've got to be on the ball, that you're just moving one step closer, one step ahead, just speaking just a little bit faster, that you are sharp. The next step is that you've got to be enthusiastic about whatever it is that you're offering. You've got to be enthusiastic about it. And I'm not talking about that crazy kind of mindless enthusiasm. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that bottled enthusiasm where you know you've got something really good. It's almost like you're gritting your teeth. You've got that enthusiasm for what you have to offer. You can't wait to share it. And you've got that energy bottled up inside of you. And then you've got to come from the place of being an expert, a trusted advisor. So before you go into any sales encounter, the necessary emotional state is that you are rock solid, that you are bulletproof in your belief that you are the person that can solve their problem. So you got to manage that emotional state. Again, you want to be sharp as a tack, enthusiastic about what you're offering, and you want to come across as an expert, as a trusted advisor, which means you got to know your stuff. You got to know your industry. You got to know your product. You got to understand the features and the benefits. You got to know that stuff inside out. And you got to understand how it can help your client solve their problem or get to their future positive. That is a critical piece that you have to understand. Remember, sales is about transference of emotion, and the primary emotion is certainty. These three things are necessary for you to be able to transfer certainty into the mind of the buyer about you as the salesperson. And so that means that you've got to be aware of how you're showing up. You've got to be aware of your emotional state. So you have to take inventory, okay? So, when managing your emotional state, what you really want to do is you want to be living into the truth that you've been given dominion over all things, over everything. And this means that you have dominion over every frequency of thought. It does not mean that you force your will on people. It means you have dominion over every frequency of thought. So, when you enter the sales encounter, you speak from a place of authority as an expert, as a professional, guiding the conversation to its highest outcome for everyone that has an interest in it. It means that you're confident, that you are reassured, and that fear, self doubt, lack, and scarcity have no place inside of you. It means that you are bulletproof in your belief that you are the person that can solve their problem and again get them to the future positive that they desire. Okay? So let me give you an example of this. So about a month ago, my wife and I were in the market for a minivan because we've got, a 4-year-old, 2-year-old, and and we have a 3-month-old baby boy, right? And so that's a lot of car seats. That's a whole lot of car seats, and the car seats don't fit as well anymore. So we're in the market for a minivan, and so we found a place, thought we got a great deal, met the salesperson, and the salesperson, we felt like that he did a really great job. Okay, he communicated with us. He built rapport. He showed us the benefits. He answered all of our questions, and the minivan met our needs. So we said, okay, no problem. Give us a day. Let's think about it, and we'll reach out to you tomorrow. And so the next day, I picked up the phone and I called him. Now, when I picked up the phone to call him, I was only calling him for one reason, because I was ready to do business. And the first words that came out of his mouth was, "Did you change your mind?" And I said, "Huh?" I said, "I'm calling you. I'm calling you." And the first words that you greet me with are, "Did I change my mind? Should I change my mind?" And in that moment, and I don't know if what was going on in his life. Maybe he had some things going on, but in that moment, he cast just that little bit of doubt, that little speck of doubt, and ultimately made me second guess whether or not we should be doing business with him. And we chose not to do business with him, because what he did was he wasn't confident, he wasn't reassuring, he wasn't coming across as sharp as he was the first time I met him. And so we decided to walk away from that, because that little hint of doubt is enough to ruin a deal. So you've got to be careful about how you manage your emotions when you go into a sales encounter. So there's a necessary emotional state that you have to enter into. Okay. Now, the next point I want to cover is the necessary mindset for sales, because sales is really an emotional roller coaster. So we talked about the emotion. Now let's talk about the mindset. Okay. So remember this, that sales is an intentional and deliberately focused conversation to authentically help the client, to help them solve their problem. And so let me break this down a little bit further for you. So there was a study that Harvard did. That was done A study that was done at Harvard of different levels of sales techniques that top salesmen and saleswomen use versus those salespeople that were average. Okay. Now they went through all of the steps of the sales process, several steps. They went through the process about getting rapport, about understanding the client's needs, about being able to demonstrate the features and the benefits of the product and service, and about overcoming objections, and then closing the sale. And they looked at it, and you know what was surprising? What was surprising, that the people who the salespeople that were the creme de la creme. I'm talking about the top 1% of the top 1% of the salespeople. That what was interesting was that they did all of the same steps as the salespeople that were average. The difference, though, was that the exceptional people, salespeople, focused on the first part, the part about building rapport, about being able to understand the client's needs. In other words, they operated from a sincere level of appreciation for what the client wanted. Not that they just wanted a sale. They operated from the place where they had appreciation for what the client wanted. And the intention that was set, the congruence was that they set was how can I serve you? How can I understand you? And not how can I sell to you? And I think that's where so many people get it wrong. In other words, they came from a place of how can I contribute to you rather than how can I take? In other words, they focused on value extension before value extraction. That's a mindset. Now, here's what was interesting. The people that focus more on that spent less time on the closing and overcoming objections. It was almost like there was a natural progression of the sale. So those that spent, and then when you look at the average salespeople, those people who spent less time on rapport and less time on understanding the client's needs and creating that relationship of trust based on a sincere level of appreciation and authenticity, those people that spent less time, the average salespeople spent less time on that. They had to spend more time overcoming objections and more time working on closing techniques to make up for that lack of the authentic connection. Isn't that interesting? And so the moral to the story here is that you have to come from a place of truly wanting to serve your clients in an authentic way, that you actually want to help them. Yes, we know that you need the sale. Yes, we know that you want the sale, but you're not operating from that place. You're thinking first about what is necessary and what's beneficial to your client, right? And so here's a question that you may want to ask yourself to check your mindset, okay? Here's a question. Am I willing to let go of a sale if I sincerely believe that at the core of my being, in my chest, in every cell in my being, if I believe that this really isn't the best deal for the client, am I willing to walk away from the table? You see, when you can come from that place rather than being hooked on the fact that you need to close a sale by next Friday, then you're going to see your sales go up. The fact is that when you approach the client from an authentic desire to help them and that you're unattached to the need to make a sale, then you're better able to build trust and transfer certainty, which then leads more often than not to sale. The other thing that does is that you end up having to spend less time prospecting because the people that you do connect with value you in such a way and appreciate you as their salesperson, as their partner, that they'll send you their friends and family. They'll recommend others to work with. And then when you're working with a referral, you're walking in with borrowed credibility. So at the end of the day, again, what we really want to do is that we want to become sincere. We want to operate from a place of authenticity, because I guarantee you that your sales are going to increase and people are going to want to do business with you when you're operating from that place of rather than trying to convince them to do business with you. They'll want to do business with you. So here's what I'll suggest to you this week. Just go out and give it a try. Before you walk into any sales encounter, before you go into any meeting, just say to yourself, I'm going to sit here for a minute or two and just connect human to human. I'm just going to connect with my clients. That's what you want to do, right? And I have no doubt that if you'll take a moment just to anchor into the fact, the importance of connecting with your client in a genuine and an authentic way, you're going to see that you show up differently. Maybe you show up with your chest just out a little bit further. And you might just be surprised at what happens. Okay, so all right. So far we've covered the necessary emotional state. We've covered the necessary mindset. Now we're gonna go to the necessary approach to sales. Okay. Now here's what we have to understand: is that in sales, it is important to understand and to know the client's goals and their pain points, so that the features and benefits that you provide as a part of your offer is the solution that they're seeking. So, one of the best methods of selling is the consultative approach. This is where you don't sit down and try to talk someone into buying your product or service, right? This is where you sit down and you say, "Let me ask you some questions. Let me talk to you. Let me learn about you, and let me find out what all of your problems are." And when you do that, only when you do that, can you then offer to them a solution. So, years ago, several years ago, probably about maybe 15 years ago, I uh, I read a book by former General Colin Powell. And one of the things that he said was that whenever someone would come into his office to meet with him, rather than sitting across his big desk from him on one side and them on the other, he would invite them to take a seat on the couch next to him, and then they would begin to engage in that conversation. He didn't want to be across from the person operating from that authority place. He wanted to be beside them, so that it would take the tension down and they could just communicate as one human being to another. And so that's really the posture you want to be when you're selling. You don't want to be across from your client trying to sell them something. You want to be a consultant. You want to be a partner. You want to be sitting beside them on the couch and helping them navigate through their challenges, their opportunities, and providing a solution that fits. See, you really ought to be out to discover whether or not what you're offering is even really a fit for your client. Because, see, once you find out where their problems are, what their challenges that they're facing, and what they'd like to accomplish, then you sell them the solution. You sell them on fixing their problems. You sell them on getting what they want. You don't sell them what you want to give them. You sell them what they want and need. Let me give you an example. So last September, my dad had his 75th birthday, and my family and I, my cousin and I, planned a cruise for my dad and his twin brother, my uncle. And so after I booked the cruise, here comes a sales guy calling me, trying to upsell me on the upgraded room. And because we were bringing our two little girls at the time, my son wasn't born yet, and they were little, so we wanted to make sure that they were safe. And my primary concern, even though I wanted a room that had the balcony, uh, we were terrified because the thought of your kid falling over was scary. And so I kept telling the guy, look, you know, I just want you to get to the bottom line. I'm in sales too, and I just need to know, I need to understand, how are my kids going to be safe? And this guy kept trying to sell me on the fact that the bathroom was going to be bigger, that it was going to be a jacuzzi tub, and it took everything in me not to hang up the phone on him, because I had to literally say to him, "You are not listening to what I am telling you. What I'm telling you is that I have small children and I'm concerned for their safety. Okay? And I'm worried about them potentially falling over because they're just starting to walk and their balance is not that good, and I'm concerned about them." And after what seemed like about 30 minutes, he finally said, "Well, Mr. Johnson, the balcony has a plexiglass so that there's no possibility of the children falling over." It took him that long to figure out, because he was not listening to what I was saying. It took him that long to figure out that I was concerned for their safety. I didn't care about the bathroom. If you've ever been on a cruise ship anyway, you know the bathroom's not that big. I don't care how big the room is, right? And so the moment he told me that there was plexiglass there, my kids couldn't fall out, deal done, I upgraded the room. All he had to do was to solve my problem. And so if more salespeople would understand that this is about solving the problem that the client has, not trying to give them what you want them to have, not trying to tell them about what you want them to know, but truly listening and solving their problems, you'll do well and you'll close more deals. And so let's talk about what the consultative selling model looks like. Okay, this is where you meet your customer. You listen intently to what their concerns are, what their needs are, what their pain points are, and then you ask questions. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that shortly. You ask questions, and then you study and you analyze their pain points because you care about what matters to them, right? And then from there, you move into a mode of educating the customer, helping them to understand not just the features, but also the benefits and why it matters to you. And then you suggest a relevant and a pertinent solution, and then you naturally move them into the next step. That's really what you want to do. It's a consultative approach. It's not you ramming the sale down their throat and trying to sell them on what you want them to have. It's where you are sharing with them the things that are most beneficial to them and educating them on the things that they don't know so they can see the benefit. And then you move them to the sale. You close the deal. You take them to the next step. It's just that simple. You want to be a consultant. You want to coach them through the sale. So what I'm encouraging you to do is to really start to shift your mindset and your approach towards selling here. This is the model that has been proven to be most effective in sales. So there's a couple of paradigm shifts that we need to make here. Let's take a look at the old side, the old mindset, and the new mind shift that's needed. And so I want to make sure that you all can see this. Let me just go full screen. There we go. All right. So the old mindset is it says that the salesperson's most powerful tool is product knowledge. The needed mind shift that you have to make is that the salesperson's most powerful tool is a client connection. You want to connect to your client. The old mindset says that the goal of the meeting is to make the sale. But the mindset shift that you need to make is the goal of the meeting is to meet the need of the client. Old mindset says that the role of the sales professional is about giving solutions, right? You're the experts. You're just going to tell them what they need. But the mindset shift that you really need is about co-creating solutions with the prospect. After all, when the prospect plays a role in creating their own solutions, they're much more likely to buy. That just stands to reason. And so that's one of the shifts that you got to make. Now let's look at the approach to the prospect. The old mindset says get information, then give them an answer that meets the needs. So just as soon as you find out what the problem is, jump in and give them the answer. You got the solution. The mindset shift that you need to make is that you got to guide the prospect to discover the need and their solutions. And that's why coaching, for those of you that are coaches, you should be using your coaching skills in selling. It is amazing when you guide someone to their own self-discovery, how much it increases the likelihood that they're going to take action on that. Now, the old mindset also says that the greatest skill of the sales professional is persuasion. But the shift that you have to make is about asking powerful questions. That's what you need to do. That we want to help them increase their level of awareness by using powerful questions. And then as we look at the role of advice in selling, the old mindset says that the role of advice is crucial. But in this new world, in this consultative model, in this coaching the sale model, that the mind shift is the role of advice is minimal in terms of the new mindset that you need to have. And then finally, how to close the sale. The old way is that you have prepared responses to any objections and then you just ask for the sale. And I don't know how many sales training programs I've been through that was it. Prepare your responses to overcoming the objections and then go for the close. But if you are taking the consultative approach, you're engaging in a coaching conversation and then you're asking the prospect for his or her perspectives and their desires, because ultimately what that means is that they naturally then begin to sell themselves into the solution, and you get to close the sale. And at the end of the day, this approach makes it so that the customer feels like they're winning, they're bought into the solution, and they buy as a happy buyer with no buyer's remorse, because they don't feel like they've been sold. They feel like they self-selected your solution. And that's the genius of it. And that's the approach that you really want to take. Okay? So We have talked about the necessary shift that you have to make. Okay, now let's go one step further. The necessary listening. This is a critical thing. This is I cannot stress to you enough how many times that I have seen salespeople, well-intentioned, well-meaning men and women taught themselves out of the business. And the reason that they do that is because they're just not listening. They are just not listening. And so a necessary approach for sales is listening. That has to be your number one weapon. And so let's go a little further into this topic now. Okay. So what you really want to do here is you really want to understand that what sales really is. Sales is not about talking. Sales is about asking the right questions and then listening intently. I'm talking about listening for understanding. Listen to the words that are being said and listen at a deeper level for understanding so that the client knows that you know what it is that they need. They need to know that you know and that you understand and that you care about what it is that they want. And so successful sales professionals know that asking powerful questions is the key that opens the doors to sales. John Maxwell says that good leaders ask great questions. Well, great salespeople ask great questions too. And so you really want to understand that you've got to ask questions, but not ask questions from the standpoint of you're asking questions and then you're formulating your response immediately. You want to ask questions and you truly want to listen. Remember, telling is not selling. Okay. And so you're asking questions to gather intelligence. That's why you're asking questions. You're doing recon with the sale with your prospect when you're asking questions. And so the questions that you are asking are for the purpose of you gathering intelligence. And you cannot gather intelligence if you are doing all of the talking. So let's talk about gathering intelligence for a moment. Gathering intelligence is really about two things. It's about learning what the client needs, wants, and values are. It's about learning what their pain points are, what their problems are, because you will need that information in order to show them that you can help them solve their problem. So that's one thing that gathering intelligence is for. But the second thing is that when you are asking questions, when you are gathering intelligence, you're building massive rapport. And if you're going to sell someone something, if you're going to be successful in sales, you must stay within the channel of rapport. Now, there's two ways that you can really gather intelligence, my friends. You can gather intelligence by being the grand inquisitor. You can just ask all the questions, interrogate the prospect. But that does nothing for building rapport because the truth is, no one wants to be cross examined. I don't like it. I'm sure you don't like it either. No one wants to feel like they're under a microscope. So you've got to take a more elegant approach. So you want to ask questions as a trusted advisor, like when you go to your family doctor. You know the doctor is asking you questions, and they're fairly personal questions, but you know they're asking because they really care and because they really want to help you and they want to heal you. So there's a huge difference there between asking questions from the grand inquisitor perspective, where you're just going down your list of questions, and coming from the place of being a trusted advisor. The key difference here is that it is all about the tonality that you use when you're asking the questions. So there are ways to ask questions in a way that builds rapport rather than positioning you as just a grand inquisitor. There are ways to do that. And I don't have at my command the time right now to delve into tonality. That could be an hour teaching just all by itself. Suffice to say that the use of tonality allows you to speak to the buyer's subconscious mind. It allows you to disarm the conversation that they're having in their head. That's what use of tonality does. But I won't get into that for now. So what I want to do is I just want to share with you a couple of models for some different questions that you want to ask. Okay. So let's go over to that slide. Now, In terms of gathering intelligence, there's some questions that you want to ask. The first question that you want to ask are the get to know you type of questions. Okay. Now, these are questions like that are really based on curiosity, right? You're trying to learn about the person. How many people are in your team, Jim? I see that your title is Director of Human Resources. What falls under that? Tell me a little bit about what it is that you do. Mary, what does your day-to-day operation look like? What projects do you have coming up in the next 12 months? What are you most excited about, Becky? What changes are the company going through? What changes the company going through right now? And what was the last big project that you undertook? So these are curiosity-based questions to get them to open up. That's the goal there, is that you want them to open up and start talking about themselves. There's a saying that goes that the sweetest sound of a person's voice, the sweetest music to a person's ear is the sound of their own voice. So you want to get them talking as soon as possible. The next set of questions is the present state questions. These are questions that are designed to help you get a clear understanding of their current situation as they see it today. So how's that working for you today? What do you like about what it is that you do? What do you not like about your situation today? Those are the type of questions that you want. And then you want to get them to access their imagination by going into the future. You want them to be able to start using their mind's eye to conjure up images. And so that's where future possibility questions come into play. Okay. And so one of my favorite future possibility questions is, Jim, in the next 6 months, what challenges and obstacles can you forecast that you can see right now that your team isn't currently resourced to overcome? That's going to cause Jim to go to the future. 6 months from now. The other side to that question, sort of like the inverse of it, is, Jim, in the next 6 months, what opportunities can you forecast that you can see that your team is not fully resourced to take advantage of? Or some variation of that. But the goal with this question is to get them to go to the future, to get them to start thinking about possible challenges coming up and possible opportunities. Okay. Then the fourth set of questions is the ideal scenario questions. I call this the utopia questions. And with these questions, what you really want to do is you want to see how you can cause them to give you more insight into what it is that they want. And so the question might look like this. Hey, Mary, if there were no limitations on money, time, or resources, what would you ideally like to see? What's the ideal outcome? Or Keisha, paint me a picture of the ideal scenario for you in this context. Or one of my favorites, if you had a magic wand and you could make anything happen, what would you do and what would you like to see in terms of this situation, whatever the context is for your product or service, of course. Okay, so those are some questions that you want to ask. And then you want to also you want to ask the personal value questions. And these personal value questions are really designed to tug at their emotions. Mark, imagine how you would feel if you were able to, or Chris, what would it mean for you if you never had to worry about this problem again? See, those questions cause them to access feelings and get them emotionally connected to the solution that you're offering. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to talk about today is I want to talk about the necessary positioning, and then we'll wrap up. Okay. The necessary positioning is that you have to learn the difference between features and benefits, and you've got to be able to position your benefits as solutions. Remember, sales is about giving your client the benefits of your products, not the features. And I can't tell you how many salespeople miss sales because they're talking about features that are irrelevant to a client because it doesn't solve their problem. See, the difference between features and benefits are that features tell you what, but the benefits tell you why. The benefits tell you why. Okay. And so the only reason you ever discuss a feature of your product or your service is that the benefit meets the client's expressed needs, wants, or solves their problem, or it gets them to their future positive. So you always want to make sure that you are speaking the language of benefits, not just talking about your features of your product or your service. It does this, it does this, it does this. Talk to them about why that is. So Jim, the car, the minivan has a very high safety rating, and the benefit of that is that you can feel at peace knowing that your family will get to wherever you're going safe and secure. See, features tell me the aspects of a product, but you've got to speak the language of benefits. And the only benefits you talk about are benefits that are based on your information gathering when you've discovered what it is that will solve the client's problems because you've listened intently to them. So my friends, I hope that this teaching has served you today. I love sales, and you can come to love sales too if you will just learn to be focused on your client, to manage your emotional state, to ensure that you're showing up with the right mindset, a mindset that seeks to serve and to build relationship from a genuine place. When you approach the sales from a consultative manner, looking to coach the sale, and then when you speak the language of when you anchor into listening intently to what the client's saying, listening to really understand, and then positioning your benefits as the solution based on what you've gathered from your discovery, your information gathering, you're going to find that it's going to be much easier for you to engage in sales, and you're going to find that you are actually going to love sales. And so I hope that this teaching has been good for you. I listen. Sales is a necessary skill, and the sooner you master that skill, the better you're going to be. The more success you're going to have. You're going to find that this is one of the key pieces to elevating your mindset and your money. Get comfortable with sales. Learn to love the sales. Don't fear the interaction. Come from a heart of service. Come from a heart of value extension before value extraction. Seek to serve your clients, and I have no doubt that you are going to do well, and you're going to have massive success. So I want to just say thank you for taking the time to tune in to this teaching. um, as you can see, this is an area for me that I'm absolutely passionate about. And at the Black Entrepreneurs Institute, we routinely, when we do the sales lesson and then the negotiate, all of the lessons that we do, we build upon each other, and we try to give our boot campers practical application. So when they have the sales lesson, the next session they have to come and they have to sell their product. And we've seen some of our boot campers actually come out of that, take the feedback that we've given to them, and land deals the very next day. And so we're all about helping entrepreneurs thrive. Remember, we're an inclusive organization, and so we're just happy to be here. It's really is a privilege for us to be with you today in the Empowered Living community. We stand with you. We're part of this tribe, and so we're always looking for ways to up level. Always and always want to express just our gratitude to Paul and to Roddy for giving us the opportunity to sit on this platform and to share lessons that will add value to the EL community. And so make sure that you tune in, because the Empowered Living candle lighting is coming up. And by the way, if you've not viewed the candle lighting, that's where we hold a space. We hold a space for peace, love, and hope in the world. This is where the community comes together, where we pray together, we encourage one another. So tune in. The empowered candle is coming up, and make sure that you tune in for that. But friends, again, my name is Damian Johnson. If you want more information on the Black Entrepreneurs Institute, then you can go to our website. The link is in the comments. You can follow us on Facebook as well. It's the Black Entrepreneurs Institute, and we've got other awesome teachings coming up, other awesome shows. So we'd invite you to tune in. We're here every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. And then the replay of our show is every Sunday at 3 p.m. And so, friends, I want to encourage you to support all of the programming on the Empowered Living community. We are one big family here. We support one another, and we appreciate your time. We appreciate your attention. We appreciate you sharing us with your community. The work that Paul and Roddy are doing, we need more work that brings light and hope and value to the world. So with that, again, my name is Damian Johnson, signing out on behalf of the Black Entrepreneurs Institute. It's been a pleasure to be with you today. I hope the lesson on sales has served you, and I look forward to being with you again on this time again on next week. But remember, the replay is Sunday. So start a watch party, hit the share button, and help us get the word out that we are helping Black and minority entrepreneurs and any entrepreneur really, because we're an inclusive organization. We're here to help you elevate your mindset and your money. Thanks for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.